What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about key moments from the Batman movie. If this is your first time to my channel, what's up? My name is John Clash. Here we talk about pretty much anything that interests me. You'll find a lot of Bible stuff on here, a lot of Jesus stuff, but you'll also find a lot of comic book and movie stuff as well because I'm also a nerd. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking, subscribing, sharing, and if you really enjoy it, please consider becoming a Patreon supporter. I'll leave the link in the description. But anyway, spoiler warning. Spoiler warning. I'm going to be talking about things all the way up to the end of the movie. All right, so if you have not seen The Batman yet, I suggest pausing this and coming back to it after. So the first key moment for me that I really enjoyed was the intro scene and the real detective feel about it. It gave me, I think the movie's called The Watchmen feeling. It's like an old Warner Brothers movie from the DC Comics. I think it's The Watchmen. I don't know why I'm like drawing a blank right here. But it gave me that Watchmen feeling, and I loved that. Another key moment is I really enjoyed the police interaction with Batman. And the reason I liked it is because in all the other Batman movies, he didn't really get along with the police. Like every now and then, you know, he'd pop up and police would be like, all right, cool, yeah, that's just Batman. But for the most part, Commissioner Gordon was like the only one that would see him on a regular basis. In this movie, he's like walking into crime scenes with all the police officers there. He's making arrests with them. Like it was a really interesting play between the police officers and Batman. Like some of them were scared of him. Some of them were just like curious. Others were like angry that he was there. And it was just really interesting, all of the interactions that he had with them. Another key moment that people might have missed is when he's riding his motorcycle to the Batcave and the song says underneath the bridge, and it pretty much looks like the Batcave is underneath the bridge. So I don't know, I just thought that was done very well. Shout out to you, Matt Reeves. Another key moment is how the Riddler's first attack, his first murder, was on the 20th year anniversary of Bruce Wayne's parents' death, which ironically was on Halloween. Another key moment that I don't know if a lot of people caught it, but when Alfred told him to come upstairs for breakfast because the accountants were coming, Bruce was like in the living room like this. Like his eyes were squinting and he had to put on sunglasses. And that's a nod to him not seeing daylight for so long because he's just been in the shadows, fighting crime and stuff. Then that first scene of him going to see the Penguin, when he just knocks on the door and he's like, do you know who I am? And then just goes in there and kicks everybody's butt. Like, oh my gosh, great scene. And then later on in the movie, he comes back as Bruce Wayne when he wants to talk to Carmine Falcone. He knocks on the door and he's like, do you know who I am? And that was one thing that I really liked about the movie. They always tied points back to each other. And I also liked the little lines that Batman had throughout the movie. One of them was when he knocked on the door and the two security guards were like, oh, you know, why don't you leave before you get blood on that suit? And Batman responds with, mine or yours. Another time when he's watching Selina, she's got the contact lens in her eye with the camera, and he sees somebody he got in a fight with, and he just goes, looks like I broke his nose. I thought that was hilarious. Another thing too, after the bomb goes off and they're like waking him up while he's unconscious, and then he gets in a scuffle with some of the police officers, and the commissioner was like, I got you on assaulting an officer. And Batman responds with I assaulted 3. And then another time, like after he punched Jim Gordon, and then Jim Gordon was like, hey, you could have pulled that punch. And he was like, I did. I just thought all those little one-liners were incredible. It reminded me of Batman, the animated series. Another funny moment for me was when the mayor was walking with Bruce Wayne at the wake, and she says, you know, your parents gave back a lot, but it doesn't seem like you're doing anything. I thought that was hilarious because this lady has no idea that he's literally Batman. And then Riddler's live feed with like all the hearts, that was hilarious. I started busting out laughing when I saw all those hearts going in his live feed. Really culturally relevant. And speaking of the Riddler, his like on again, off again anger, like how he goes from being super calm to like super angry. The Riddler really creeped me out. And that's crazy because the Riddler to me was like, it's just like a weirdo to me in the comics and the other movies and even Gotham, the series. Yeah, it didn't really do much for me. But this Riddler, even though I was skeptical of him, incredible. Then you got the Batmobile. Man, that Batmobile was amazing. What I liked too was the camera angles. Anytime that Batman was in motion, there was this like still camera that's just right behind him or right in front of him, and it followed like that, whether he was on the motorcycle, in the Batmobile, or even when he put on the squirrel suit and flew through the city. That was fire. I love that camera angle. And when he first used the squirrel suit, he seemed like super scared, like this was his first time using it. He didn't even know if it was gonna work. If you saw, he got to the roof and was like looking over the edge. So really dope scene. The Penguin's car chase was incredible, and the interrogation was hilarious because I live in Puerto Rico. So the fact that Penguin was asking Batman and Commissioner Gordon, like, what, you guys don't speak Spanish? No habla español? It was hilarious because I'm watching it in Puerto Rico and the whole movie is in Spanish subtitles except that part because everybody knows what he's saying. So it was twice as funny for me. Then another key moment was the first disappearing act when Batman and Commissioner Gordon were in the orphanage and all of a sudden Batman just poof disappears. Classic. And a key moment that we really have to highlight. Alfred got some quick hands. He got some real quick hands because when he opened that letter and saw that it was a bomb, he threw that real quick. Me, I'm not that quick. Nobody would be visiting me in the hospital. I would be gone, dead. So shout out to Alfred with your quick hands. Another key moment was when Catwoman asked Batman about why he wears a mask. She said something along the lines of, what are you, like hideously scarred under there? And his response was yes. And this was a nod towards he's hideously emotionally scarred. And I thought that was really good writing. Another part that I really loved was when they got Riddler and he was like, I just ordered a slice of pumpkin pie. I don't know why, I just thought that was hilarious. And then he's like smiling at Batman. And I had no idea why he was smiling at Batman until Batman went to go visit him in Arkham Asylum. And you get into that whole poor Bruce Wayne scene. They had me for a minute. I thought the Riddler was about to expose him and he put it together. And I'm like, man, in the first Batman of this series, they're gonna blow his identity? Oh my gosh, they literally had me. But thank God Batman was able to just like keep his composure. Because if it was me, if I'm wearing the mask and the Riddler was like, John Clash, I'd have been like, how did you know? I would have lost it right there. So that's why I'm not Batman. Also because I'm not like a billionaire. I also really enjoyed in that moment how the Riddler thought that him and Batman were on the same page because they were exposing the corruption, and how the Riddler used Batman in his plans to expose that corruption. And in that moment, Batman is like, nah, I didn't do anything with you. But you can tell that he's realizing he was used. That dialogue back and forth was incredible. And when Batman called the Riddler a psychopath, it reminded me of when Christian Bale was fighting Bane and he said to Bane,
You are excommunicated by a gang of psychopaths.
I think they said psychopath the same exact way. Then we have the climax, the grand finale of the movie, which was amazing. And then you have the key moment when Batman reaches for the orphan and then reaches for the mayor. And the mayor was super hesitant because earlier in the movie, she was calling him a vigilante. So you could see that she was moving from being hesitant to understanding that this guy is here for a good reason. And then you also have the moment of when Carmine Falcone got brought out to the light and was killed. And now Penguin is in charge. And I'm pretty sure that they're going to be making an HBO Max Penguin series. So that's really dope. That setup for that series, man, I'm going to be locked in on that series. I don't even have HBO Max. I'm about to go get it just for that series. I hope there's a little bit of Batman in there too. So a sad scene for me was when, all the way at the end, when Batman and Catwoman like went separate ways on their motorcycle. I was like, oh, poor Batman. You'll never get to feel true love. You can't risk hurting anybody. Poor Batman. But no, it was a good scene. And then we have the moment that everybody's been talking about. The scene in Arkham Asylum with Riddler and this mystery character who we all now know is probably going to be the Joker. When he said the line, something about, one day you're up, the next day you're a clown, the movie theater was like, it was such a dope moment. I'm pretty sure they translated that correctly because everyone in the theater understood what was going on. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll leave a link to that video at the end where they translated the name Jesus into curse words, like really bad curse words. So I'll leave that video at the end of this one. So anyway, supposedly there's also a deleted scene with Batman and the Joker where they're having a conversation. So I'm hoping that when it gets released to Blu-ray, that scene is put in it. That would be fire. But I'm actually a little bit skeptical. I have this weird feeling that we're just being baited and this might not be the Joker. Like it might be a trick into making you think that it's the Joker, but it's not. Kind of how the Gotham series made you think that this was the Joker and then all of a sudden it was somebody else. So I don't know. I'm skeptical. Either way, it was an incredible moment. But with that being said, those are my favorite key moments in the movie. Let me know about your favorite key moments in the movie. I feel like I could have made this video an hour long with all of the key moments in it, but I just shortened it to my favorite. So let me know if some of these are your favorites, and then also let me know what your favorite moment in the Batman movie was. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next one.